Classic Hollywood was built on illusion, but sometimes, the camera captured something too real. From genuine tears to unscripted passion, these stars weren't acting at all. Tonight, we reveal 8 shocking moments where classic Hollywood scenes crossed the line from performance into reality. Vivien Leigh, A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951. Vivien Leigh's portrayal of Blanche DuBois is often praised as one of the most emotionally devastating performances in classic Hollywood, and for good reason. Much of what audiences witnessed on screen wasn't entirely acted. During filming, Leigh was struggling with severe mental health issues, later diagnosed as bipolar disorder. The intense stress of the role, combined with her fragile emotional state, caused real breakdowns on set. Her shaking hands, distant stares, and sudden mood shifts were not always part of the script. Co-stars later revealed that Leigh often slipped completely into Blanche's psychological collapse, blurring the line between performance and reality. This raw authenticity made the film unforgettable, but it also came at a tremendous personal cost to Leigh herself. Montgomery Clift, From Here to Eternity, 1953. Montgomery Clift's performance in From Here to Eternity feels painfully real because it largely was. At the time, Clift was battling deep personal demons, including severe depression, substance abuse, and intense inner conflict. Rather than hiding his struggles, the camera captured them. His soft voice, distant gaze, and emotional vulnerability were not carefully crafted acting techniques, they were reflections of his real mental state. Directors and co-stars noticed that Clift often required little direction, as he naturally embodied the loneliness and tension of his character. Many scenes gained their power from his genuine discomfort and emotional fragility. This authenticity helped redefine male sensitivity in classic Hollywood, but it also revealed a star slowly being consumed by his own pain. Marilyn Monroe, Niagara, 1953. In Niagara, Marilyn Monroe's dangerous allure wasn't the result of careful rehearsal, it came naturally. Unlike many actresses of her era, Monroe relied heavily on instinct rather than strict direction. Crew members later admitted that her slow walk, suggestive pauses, and hypnotic body language were unscripted. She wasn't performing sexy, she was sexy in her natural state. Off-camera, Marilyn was painfully insecure, but once the camera rolled, her raw magnetism took over. The sultry glances and subtle movements seen in Niagara were spontaneous, making the film feel more intimate and real than audiences expected. These moments proved that Monroe's screen power wasn't manufactured by Hollywood, it was something she possessed effortlessly, even when she wasn't trying to act at all. James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause, 1955. James Dean's explosive performance in Rebel Without a Cause shocked audiences because it felt uncontrollably real, and that was no accident. Dean rejected traditional Hollywood acting and relied heavily on improvisation. Many of his angry outbursts, sudden movements, and emotional breakdowns were not written into the script. Instead, he poured his own loneliness, frustration, and identity struggles into the character. Directors often allowed the camera to keep rolling because Dean's unpredictability added raw intensity to every scene. His famous tantrums, nervous gestures, and emotional pauses came straight from his personal turmoil. The result was a performance that captured the restless spirit of an entire generation, proving that James Dean wasn't just acting rebellion, he was living it on screen. Elizabeth Taylor, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? 1966. Elizabeth Taylor's brutal performance in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf felt disturbingly authentic because it drew heavily from her real life. At the time, Taylor's marriage to Richard Burton was volatile, filled with explosive arguments, emotional manipulation, and heavy drinking. Much of the venom, sarcasm, and emotional cruelty seen on screen wasn't carefully rehearsed, it poured out naturally. Several insults and reactions were improvised, fueled by real resentment and exhaustion. The alcohol-soaked fights felt genuine because, in many ways, they mirrored Taylor's off-screen reality. Crew members recalled the atmosphere on set becoming uncomfortably tense as personal emotions bled into the performances. The result was a raw, fearless portrayal that shattered Hollywood glamour and exposed the painful truth behind toxic relationships. Marlon Brando, Last Tango in Paris, 1972. Marlon Brando's performance in Last Tango in Paris remains one of the most controversial in film history because parts of it were disturbingly real. Brando believed in pushing emotional boundaries, often ignoring scripts to provoke genuine reactions. In one infamous scene, his co-star was not fully informed about how the moment would be approached, resulting in real shock and emotional distress captured on camera. The raw confusion and discomfort audiences see were not carefully acted, they were genuine. This approach sparked decades of debate about ethics, consent, and exploitation in filmmaking. While the performance is often praised for its intensity, it also exposed the dark side of method acting, proving that realism achieved at another person's expense comes with a heavy moral cost. Judy Garland, The Wizard of Oz, 1939. Judy Garland's innocence and vulnerability in The Wizard of Oz were heartbreakingly real. Behind the colorful fantasy, Garland was under extreme pressure from the studio system. She was overworked, strictly controlled, and given medication to manage her weight, sleep, and energy levels. As a result, many of her tears, exhaustion, and fragile smiles were genuine emotions, not acting choices. Long shooting hours left her physically drained, and the emotional strain often showed on camera. Cast and crew later admitted that Garland's wide-eyed sadness and longing felt authentic because it came from real suffering. Her performance remains iconic, but it also stands as a painful reminder of how classic Hollywood sacrificed young stars for the sake of perfection. Clark Gable, Gone with the Wind, 1939. Clark Gable's commanding presence as Rhett Butler wasn't always part of the script, it often came from real frustration. The chaotic production of Gone with the Wind involved multiple director changes, endless retakes, and exhausting schedules. Gable grew visibly irritated by the disorder and long working hours. In several scenes, his sharp tone, impatience, and dismissive attitude were genuine reactions rather than calculated acting choices. Instead of cutting these moments, filmmakers kept them, believing they added authenticity to Rhett Butler's hardened personality. The result was a performance layered with real-world tension that enhanced the character's edge. Gable's unscripted irritation helped make Rhett Butler feel more human, proving that sometimes real emotions can strengthen an already legendary role. These unforgettable moments reveal a hidden truth about classic Hollywood: sometimes, the most powerful scenes were never meant to be performances. Behind the glamour and studio polish, real pain, frustration, desire, and exhaustion slipped through the cracks and onto the screen. Whether it was emotional breakdowns, unscripted anger, or genuine distress, these stars gave audiences something raw and unforgettable, often at great personal cost. While these moments created cinematic history, they also exposed the darker side of the Golden Age, where boundaries were blurred and human emotions were exploited for realism. These scenes still haunt viewers today because authenticity, even when accidental, leaves a lasting impact. In the end, Hollywood's greatest illusion wasn't the acting, it was pretending that none of it was real.